We came into it, and lots of guys joined the beginning of that season, and Rob and Ali and Paddy and Twigsy at the time put together a really kind of inclusive pre-season program, and it basically involved us all getting very naked and very drunk most of the time. And that seemed to build a very tight bond. And then kind of coupled with that with some light bird bathing meant that the boys were a very tight-knit unit coming to pre-season. I think it was generally a case of stripping the guys back from a fitness perspective and from a kind of team ethos perspective, and then just rebuilding it in their image. I don't know, maybe Thomas, who was very senior at the time, could elaborate further on it.
Pushing on in age, I know. Look, I think Rob's big thing at the time, even when he took over towards the end of the previous season, so just before that summer, a huge amount of what he was about was mental toughness at the time, because I think maybe he personally had, I don't think he's ever said it or anything. I think having been involved with the Chiefs for so long, I'd say he'd had enough of the Chiefs coming kind of second place for so long. And a big part of what was going to see us over the line, I think, was mental toughness. So some of that came out in just being flogged mercilessly for a long part of pre-season, and the few days that we spent up in Dartmoor, where I still have the image of Andy Miller shuffling back into camp at the end of day 2 with blisters apparently just covering the whole of the soles of his feet. He just looked the sorriest mess I've ever come across in any sort of a training exercise. But I think it was a big part of it, in fairness. I think it certainly helped to bind a group together, because we've just really realised we had gone through something fairly big. And I think maybe as well, kind of the structure of the season helped a little bit in some ways as well, because you were allowed to play some little bit fast and loose with certain games, and what way we kind of attacked the season in blocks and the whole lot. So that would have been a big part, I think, of that summer for us, really, was just making sure that we were in obviously in good shape, but in a good mental place going into it, knowing that we had banked enough work to go and attack the season properly.
Obviously, it would have caused a bit of air of panic in terms of supporters-wise. I think what we kind of, as coaches, we had a plan. What Hayes, you just touched upon them. There was a plan, and that kind of, we basically had 2 pre-seasons. We had a pre-season before the season started, and then we had a pre-season around that Christmas block. And it was tough because the rugby content dripped off slowly. And it was more in terms of getting our bodies, in the best shape possible. In that, getting them in the best shape possible to really attack that second block. I think, were we? Did we want to be losing games? No, we didn't. But we understood there was a reason why. And I think if you can understand the reason why that you're losing games, rather than just thinking, "Oh, it's because we played badly." Well, no, it was because of that conditional block. And actually, if you look at it, we actually hit that second block, hit our stirrups in that second block, until those playoffs came along. So we knew what to do. I think, as coaches and players, we knew what was coming.
And you talk about getting to the playoffs. Clark has just joined us again, sideways. You talk about getting to the playoffs, and you mentioned. You mentioned about,
so ugly.
He's not any better looking that way, is he?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, dear.
There was no air of panic. There was we knew what the plan was, and I think we knew that from the start. Again, in terms of some ex-Prem players, in terms of Posey, then obviously captain at the helm there, Hazy, everything was under control. And when you had to be fair, when you stood behind Steno, kicking those points and whatever, we knew the plan, so everything was under control.
And again, fast forward to the final, Steno, was there a sense of disappointment? Obviously, I remember the first leg at Sandy Park, 10,000. I think it was probably the biggest crowd the Chiefs had up to that point. So it was a rocking atmosphere. Was there a sense of disappointment only coming away from that first leg with a 3-point buffer, as it were?
No, I think the fact that we'd won the game, ultimately just going into the next game with a lead with a 1 point or no points, it made it easy. It meant when we went up to went up to Bristol, it meant if we win a game of rugby, we go through. It was irrelevant if we had the win. We just knew if we won, we were going through. So it kind of made it a bit simpler for us from that point. But I think the fact that, it was 9-6, we put night, and ultimately I think in the long run, I think we put the Woolies up, and they were a bit scared maybe when we rocked up the next week, because we actually went after them a bit more. And actually probably set us in good stead going into the game up there. And I remember going up there thinking, and I'm sure all the lads will say exactly the same, we were never going to lose that night no matter what happened. So the feeling around the place, the training sessions, everything was class.
Was that the same feeling for everyone? Nic, let's get you in here. Was that the same feeling for you going up there to Bristol? Did you always think that you were going to, do it that night? Oh, your mic's off, Nic.
You're on mute. Sesta, you're on mute. Take yourself off mute. There you go.
Sorry, guys. After the first game, I remember coming back to the changing rooms. I remember Rob was very happy and confident that we'll do it over there in that place. I thought it was even the setup of everything was even better. And I still have the picture in my head in the bus going up to the game to Bristol and watching Stino and just looking at his face, and I knew we were going to win.
Steve, on the night, you obviously, you kicked like a machine on the night in the second leg.
Missed the conversion.
Well, yeah.
And a penalty. I missed
the best celebration
well.
and the best missed kick at the same time.
I missed 2 kicks that night.
A penalty and then the conversion at the end, wasn't there?
Yeah, no. I missed the kick at the end, yeah.
Did you feel more pressure, though? Because obviously the tactic was to go in and keep the scoreboard ticking. So did you feel more pressure going into that game, knowing that perhaps that you were going to be kicking more than perhaps you would do in a normal game?
Not any more pressure than I normally would have felt. Now, obviously, if Hayden was here as well, we were given slightly different tactics to the rest. We were kind of said that boys go hell for leather, but when you get an opportunity, you get a drop goal here and there, go for it. And we had that sort of mentality that we got in range, we'd take them, and when we got penalties, I actually in the warm up before felt really confident. I was kicking really well going into it, and I just felt every time I would put the ball on the tee, it would go over. I just had that sort of feeling. Some nights you get that, and that's what I had that night. And I remember running up the Tink after one of the really good kick chases, and we ended up getting a penalty inside our own half, and I've sprinted from the 22 to say, leave it, I'll knock this one over. And I'm looking at me and going, you sure? I was like, this was going over. The other thing that you don't really know is it's a football pitch. It's only 45 metres long. So it was downhill slightly as well. So it kind of was confident enough. But no, I didn't feel any more pressure. That was just my role that I had to do in the team. It was more, lads up front were winning me penalties, and then I was made opportunity to kick it over. I remember Seth still running hard in the middle. Fozzie playing at fullback. Good Lord, first, so it was all different things, and it was a real good team effort from everyone involved.
And when did you finally think that was it? Because I remember watching as a spectator, and still with about 10 minutes to go, and we were leading by about I think it was 13 points. I still wasn't sure that they, weren't going to score 2 tries. When as a team did you kind of think, oh, that's it, we've done it now?
When Holt went over, I was just like, that's it, done.
There was a moment actually where Adrian Jarvis misses a kick, and then I think Sesto, you get it and you bang it upfield, and we get a penalty. And I remember thinking to myself, if I can knock this one over, we'll win. And that was about 15 minutes to go. So that I felt that we were in control of it then. But I don't know, that's how I felt. But I felt quite like we were in control the whole night. So, like I said, there was a belief that we were going to win the game.
And what were the celebrations like afterwards? I watched it back on online recently, and I remember, Stina, you saying that you said the party was going to go on for 3 days afterwards on Sky. How long did it go on for, Clarky?
I think it's still going on now. No, to be fair, it's probably one of the best experiences. I mean, regardless, when that game finished and we had to celebrate, you see everybody else when they win something. Everyone goes out on the pitch, and you have the big banners and everything. We got told because it was raining so hard that we had to stay in the changing room. But for us, it was absolutely priceless. We had the group together in a tiny little changing room, champagne going everywhere, and then I think we basically took it from there. Maybe a few naked people, Fozzie, on the bus on the way home, and then like you say, it just seemed to go on for. At the time, it went in a flash, but now when you think about it, it probably went on for about 10 days.
And just talking very quickly about the start of the Premiership season. Obviously got off to a cracking start, beating Gloucester. I think somebody here scored the first try in the Premiership.
Easy.
Here he is, my boy.
And then obviously nearly beating the Leicester Tigers the week after. Was there a sense then, obviously those first 2 weeks, everyone kind of thought, well, the Chiefs are here to compete. Was there a sense then perhaps that, the Chiefs would go on and do as well as they had done, and within 7 years, I think 7 years, wasn't it, that would go on and win the Premiership? I mean, what was the feeling going into the Premiership? How well could we do as a team?
Who wants to take that? I don't know.
It's probably the only guy still playing.
Yeah, probably more than likely.
Well, I think whenever we first got into the Premiership, none of us knew what to expect, really. I think, we obviously had Fozzie and Cornish, a few of the lads had played Premiership rugby before, but a lot of us hadn't. So to have turned... Oh, sorry, Clarky. Did you as well? So in terms of experience-wise, we were all sort of told at the same time as well that we were all going to be playing next year. So going into that championship final meant there was a real big carrot at the end of it for us. So it was great that we were able to do that. Looks like Foz is definitely on holiday again. But I think in terms of how the club have gone, I think whenever we first started, I don't think any of us envisaged that we'd be sitting as a top Premiership team winning the Premiership within 7 years. Probably not. I think we were just trying to establish ourselves initially, and that's all we were trying to be.
A couple of fans have been asking about the renewing of everyone's contract for the first season in the Premiership. Did that affect how they came back the following season? Like, had everyone trained a lot harder in the close season, ready to start, as Premiership players? Had you all trained a lot harder than you would normally?
You wanted to see Foz's 1500 when he came back, so we used to do 1500 test. He came back and said he was a power athlete. Right? I think we had to do it in under 5:45.
I was about 6:50. 6:50, I think.
Chris Budgeon was beating him. Was a disgrace.
I beat that. I ran a 10K last Saturday and destroyed my 1500 time and my 5K time. I think
we were actually fitter coming back that pre-season though, because the
volume of games.
The championship season had dragged on so long. It was was it 50 weeks or was it before 52 weeks since we had actually met? From the night of the champion we got promoted. I think it was a 50-week season that we had done at that point. So
is that why we all fell apart?
What's that?
Is that why our bodies all fell apart?
Pretty much. That's why I have to hold myself up on the desk here now. I can't sit up straight.
Right.
So backs versus forwards. I've got some questions here. So if you know the answer, shout your name out, and we'll see how you get in. So here we go. Question number 1. What was the aggregate score of the final against Bristol? No one remembers. Yeah.
38. Wasn't it? Aggregate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that mean
29 and 9 is 38, yeah.
It's like he's Googling aggregate.
No.
38-16, was it?
He's done it. 38-16. That's one for the forwards.
Wow.
Okay.
That's good knowledge, man. That's great.
All right. So who scored the only try for the Chiefs across the 2 legs?
Simon Alcott.
Yeah.
You're shouting names out, right?
Yeah, shouting names out, but I'll give that to Clarky.
Sorry, Clarky.
Right, shout your name out. Which referee was in charge for the second leg of the final?
Dino.
Oh.
Small.
Yeah.
Is correct.
Who?
Andrew Small. So around this time, we started to introduce players' music when they scored a try. So which players' music was this?
Fozzie.
Nachos. Fozzie. Nachos. Fat Nacho.
No, it's not Fozzie. But the person whose music is here.
Definitely not.
Jesse.
Sesto.
Cornish then.
Corner.
Is it me because I never scored tries, so nobody ever heard it?
Bentos is yours.
Is that me?
Yeah, that was your music.
I was never playing. I was always injured.
That's why we never heard it.
The most ironic song ever.
Oh dear.
Oh, wow.
All right, move on. How many league points did the Chiefs finish on in the regular season?
Oh, Christ. I'll chance it. 84 was it or something? No.
Oh, I'll give you. It's 88.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay. According to Rugby Stat Bunker, which player picked up the most yellow cards in the 2009-10 season?
Yeah, gotta be Clarkey.
Are you answering the track or answering yourself?
Yellow cards.
Cheers.
Ryan Rennie.
Skates.
Chad Slade.
No.
Sturge.
No, it might be wrong. Bentos again.
Oh,
Apparently.
They're getting yellow cards.
Absolutely.
You have to play to get a yellow card.
When we lost at Plymouth, and I got yellow carded,
Yeah.
start a first team game for 18 months. We're walking back from the Plymouth game, and I ruptured my bicep twice, but Rob looked at me with such disdain, I knew that I was in shit. We lost.
You knew you were never going to get that 100.
And it was like literally, I was stuck on 98 league games for 18 months.
All right. Couple more. Which side was relegated from the Championship in the year that the Chiefs went up?
Leeds.
No.
Championship.
Worcester.
No.
No, from the Championship.
Championship.
On the championship.
I don't know.
What's that?
Rotherham.
Mosley.
Leslie Park.
Coventry.
Coventry.
Who said Coventry?
It's Coventry.
Oh, Clarky's got it. All right. Okay. Another player's tune then. So whose try music was this?
Mosey.
It's not.
Jesse.
No.
Sesto.
Clarky, you had your hand up.
Brian Rennie.
I just thought it was mine because I'm a hero.
It is yours. It is yours. That's the music you chose. Yeah. All right.
Oh, God.
There's more of these. Wait, who scored the most tries for the Chiefs in the season?
Jesse.
Yeah, Fozzie, you got that right.
Jesse.
Another player's tune then. We're nearly done. Whose tune was this?
Sturge.
Paul McKenzie.
David Gannon.
No.
Paul McKenzie.
Tommy Hayes.
It was Tom Hayes. Yeah.
I never heard that.
I didn't it was actually Steve who picked that. I didn't even pick it myself.
Did you get it played though, Tommy?
I bet you said I don't want to have a song if I score a try. I got miserable about it.
I think I only scored one try the whole season anyway. So.
Who's that against?
Per Temps Bees away. Oh no, sorry, I scored one in the playoffs as well.
And you stood up and walked back without celebrating. Ashen face.
Do you not remember Rob's comment about and Tinker looks like the price of tarmac has just gone up?
One final one for the music, and then we'll call it a day on this. Whose try music was this?
That's Fog.
Jesse.
Huh?
It's got to be Fog.
Jesse.
It's not. I can't remember one. I think one was Out Here's Brothers. Boom, boom, boom.
Was it Hawaii?
Who had the YMCA? No, it wasn't Sturge. No.
Chris
John
Budgeon.
Tomes.
Budge.
Sean Tomes.
I tell you, Hawani Tui.
I said that. I said it twice.
yeah.
Oh, did you? I didn't hear you, Bentos. I'll give you
did
it.
say it when he-
Wi-Fi, Ben. Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, yeah. Sturgis, no word of a lie. I'll take the squad in a minute. Sturgis, I've got this here. Brett Sturgis actually emailed me, got in touch with me when I was working at this other radio station. He said, I want to have the song Who Let the Dogs Out, but I want you to put my name into the, where it says dogs, say Sturge. So this is what I recorded from. This was his try music. Who let the dogs out? That was his music, genuinely.
He got a try in Sturgey Corner in the playoffs as well, didn't he?
Oh, didn't he?
Against Nottingham, wasn't it? He went over in Sturgey Corner.
Oh, dear. Well, listen, I make that a win for the forwards by 4 points to 2.
Back to you.